What is up, everyone? Welcome to another October daily video where I'm doing 31 days of Halloween drawings. Today we are drawing a creepy clown. I do apologize to anyone who is scared of clowns, but thanks for coming anyways. Let's get started. Alright everyone, let's get started with our creepy Halloween clown. Just like all the other videos, I have done the sketch beforehand to try to save a little bit of time so these videos don't go to 25-30 minutes long. That is not what I want for the video length for these, so I just had to do the sketches beforehand just to save myself some sanity and save you guys a little bit, because gotta turn that back down, because I don't want these videos going on for 45 minutes long or something like that and have all of you guys absolutely hate me for making the videos that long. So there we go. This one has a little bit more of a taper. So I'm using all of my own brushes. Talked about it in other videos. These brushes are available on Gumroad as well as my Patreon if you are one of my Patreon members. No matter what level you are for a Patreon subscriber, you get these brushes. So it's $1 cheaper actually. If you just did the $1 subscription to Patreon, you get these on Gumroad. They are $2, so just something to keep in mind. And you also get a lot of other fun goodies if you join the Patreon, including all the sketches I did this month for all of these Halloween videos, any sketches I've done in the past for videos, anything like that. So if that's something that interests you, go check it out. It really helps out the channel, helps me out, and I truly, truly appreciate it. Let's get some more of these lines in here. Let's see, I'm gonna avoid the makeup lines for the time being because I want to actually do those lines similar to the color of what they are going to be when they're filled in. Give it a little extra dimension so not everything is a black solid line everywhere. Now the sketch is there as a reference in a sense, so I'm not 100% following it, but I am going pretty close to it because I actually did the original sketches on paper, so when I brought them in here, I re-sketched them to optimize how they were going to look in these videos. So I'm following them pretty close because I did spend a decent amount of time just making the sketches, even though I didn't really have to. I could have done that process as I was going on here. Trying to make this one a little more creepy than some of them. Some of them have been kind of a cute, scary design. This one is definitely going to be more on the just creepy aspect. I'm trying to do this as a solid line, at least as much as possible, to kind of give it some fluidity. There we go. I think I only made one break in that entire thing, so I can live with that. Let's make a second layer actually underneath. This is a little trick I like to use to avoid having to worry about where my lines meet up, and I don't have to make all these little erases to try to get it just right. Wrong one. So anywhere where these meet up, I can just go in and erase. Saves me a buttload of time, and then I can just combine those. And actually, you know what? I think I'm actually gonna like it with solid lines for the makeup. So, like I said, I'm not following my sketch to a T. Just kind of going with the flow. What I feel might look better. Hopefully, this one isn't gonna take me as long as some of the ones I've done. If this is the first one that you're watching that you found on the channel, I'm gonna leave a little thing on the screen right here showing which ones we've kind of completed so far. If you see one that looks fun to you, go check that out. I'm gonna leave a link for that in the description as well as the card up above. I can do the same thing like I did before, and I can just make a separate layer that is for this hand, and then when I go into delete or to erase, I don't have to think about it as much. These little ruffles in here. Not my greatest ruffles I've ever drawn, but they will do. And kind of this ripped up flesh looking piece of this floating hand. This is definitely one of the creepier ones I've done this month for sure. Sorry if you don't like clowns, but if you're watching this far into it, you probably aren't as scared of clowns, so thank you for staying. If you are, good for you. You're very brave. I know some people can't get past that fear, so if you are still here and you are afraid of clowns, thank you. I will take that as a compliment. Alright, so I think pretty much got all the lines in. So it's time to start adding. Oh, let's combine these now. Let's start adding. Oh, I need to. There. Start adding colors. So we're going to turn this to a reference so that when we start dropping colors in, the colors don't bleed away from the lines. And let's see, I'm gonna give this mouthpiece a little bit more of a blood red color, make it a little more visceral, and we're gonna do like a blue maybe for the makeup. Yeah, do blue up here, that's cool. I'm gonna do a gray, not just a solid white for the like skin color part. Gross yellow color for its teeth. And let me go slightly more green on the. Here, let's see how that looks. Should I go red? Maybe I'll do the same red-ish pink color that is on the. Let's see how this looks. Do that. Yeah, I think that looks good. Sorry if you've missed, or if some of the footage is gone. I'm doing my best to try to watch my camera, but it likes to overheat and then I lose whatever stuff is going on at that time, so I apologize. I try to look up at my camera as much as I can to make sure we don't lose any of this footage, because I do want this to be as live as possible, so you don't miss anything that I am doing. So I apologize if there is any missing stuff, but I think we got all of the base colors down. Now it is time for some shadows. Let's go just basic with the shadows. We're going to use black. And I'm actually going to stick with this. Okay, so what I like to do is kind of give myself an idea of where the shadows are going to be. I'll use that line that I just made, and I'm going to follow it with the freehand selection tool along the line. And then this will make it so I can just drop in my shadow where I want it to be. Just like that. I can actually just get everything in that selection path. So now I can see where I'm going. I'm gonna go up to here. Oh, and one thing we gotta make sure is we are on clipping mask so we don't go outside of the lines. And we're going to bring that opacity down. And just keep adding shadows until we are happy with what we got. And we'll do the same thing here. I'm going to follow this path real fast. Actually, I don't need to be as precise right now because the hair, you can kind of get these more jagged looks, and it actually can look pretty cool. So let's see. I can fix that one. And this is always my favorite part of doing illustrations, is getting these shadows in here, because it really, this is the point where everything really starts coming to life. And start getting some shadows in these areas that I didn't pick as the focus on the shadow. So, but just because the shadow's on one side doesn't mean you can't have any shadows on the other side. Because realistically, light is going to be coming from many different directions, so good to have your shadows throughout the entire piece, not just on one side of the image. And then do the same thing here. Freehand selection tool. And oops. And just don't go too fast. I always end up accidentally whacking something with my hand before I tap that, and then I always end up making an extra line somewhere. So just something to keep in mind, just to watch out for. Okay, so now it is time for the cool part of doing shadows, and that is adding a rim light. And all you have to do for that is go around these areas that are very heavily shadowed, finding the edge and getting rid of some of the shadow. This will give it a nice, interesting look, and it'll make it look a little more interesting. Your eyes will actually be able to comprehend that there's something other than just shadow going on. It doesn't have to be on the outer edge either. Do it on edges like this. fix some of these areas I don't want that. And let's get a little bit on the back end there. And make these look like they're a little wet, like they're almost bleeding. The nice thing about that, you erase it, all you have to do is just color it back in. Make this look like it's almost like blood and not just makeup that's running. Now this is my absolute favorite part, is actually getting rid of these shadows to really bring everything out. Not getting rid of the shadows, but getting rid of part of the shadow, because it really just makes things look like, with this one, it makes it look more visceral and creepy, and I just love that. Just changes the image so fast just by doing a little bit of erasing. Alright, now for the last bit, we are just going to add some highlights, and then I'll probably go in and maybe add a couple more little finishing lines and everything. So highlights, we're going to go to white. Now highlights are something that sometimes you will have to do more than one layer of it, because unlike shadows, the white will react a little different when you bring the opacity down. The shadows normally turn out almost pretty even across. Sometimes you have to do multiple different shadows depending on what you're doing. But with this, we'll see how it looks. Really giving some of these a shine. So I want this to almost look just absolutely like kind of wet and gross and bloody in a way, not really real blood, I guess, but it's like his makeup is almost representing blood itself. So just add a couple more highlights there. Now something like this gray is an area that you might want to do a separate white layer for a highlight if you were wanting to, because when I drop that opacity, that's going to be pretty like unnoticeable pretty much. So okay, so let's drop that opacity a little bit. I'm actually gonna keep this pretty bright on this one because I kind of like how shiny it makes everything look. And last thing we gotta do is go to our airbrushes. This is the only brush I'm using that's not part of my brush set. Oops. And add a new layer. And drop this down. All right, there it is, the finished creepy clown for one of our videos for the 31 videos of October, where I'm drawing all these different creepy things. If you haven't seen all of them yet, check out the list I have in the card or in the description below. And I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you aren't yet, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any other of these videos here this October. But like always, keep drawing, and until next time, bye.